Get ready to dive into a bone-chilling exploration of the most disturbing last photos of people before they went missing. These snapshots freeze eerie moments right before individuals vanished into thin air, leaving behind a perplexing puzzle for investigators and loved ones. From seemingly normal scenes to haunting last encounters, each image holds the key to a mystery that continues to baffle many. Join us as we unravel the mysterious tales behind these haunting photographs. This photo of a woman wearing a black face mask and a long brown skirt standing with her arms folded on an empty highway at night seemed to be just a normal candid photograph. But once you know the truth behind it, you may never look at it the same way again. In the northeastern Mexican state of Nuevo León, the bustling city of Escobedo hummed with life on the night of April 8, 2022. Among the city's residents was 18-year-old Debani Escobar, a young woman with dreams and aspirations like any other. She had joined her friends for a night of partying, seeking an escape from the ordinary routines of daily life. On the night of her disappearance, Debani and her friends attended a party in downtown Escobedo. But as the night wore on, tensions flared between Debani and her friends, resulting in a heated argument that left her feeling isolated and alone. Desperate to leave the situation behind, Debani turned to her friends for help. They in turn arranged for a ride home with a driver they believed they could trust, a man known only as Jesus. Jesus, a 47-year-old taxi driver, was a familiar face to the girls. He had been called upon to provide rides in the past, and they had no reason to doubt his reliability. But as they went on the trip home along the Monterrey-Nuevo Laredo highway, in the early hours of the morning, things took a sinister turn. A disagreement erupted between Debani and Jesus, the details of which remain shrouded in mystery. What sparked the argument and why it escalated so quickly may never be known. But what is clear is that Jesus abruptly left Debani stranded on the side of the desolate highway, a decision that would have devastating consequences. Alone in the darkness, Debani faced a difficult situation. The highway, known ominously as Death Road, stretched out before her, its eerie silence broken only by the occasional passing vehicle. In the solitude of the night, she stood vulnerable and exposed, her fate hanging in the balance. It was around 5 a.m. when Jesus took a photo of Debani, capturing a chilling moment frozen in time. In the image, she stands alone, her back turned away from the camera, her expression obscured by the darkness. Her long skirt billows in the breeze as she gazes down the road, her thoughts and fears known only to her. The photo, intended as proof of her well-being, instead became a haunting reminder of her disappearance. As the image circulated on social media, it drew widespread attention to Debani's situation, sparking a frantic search for answers. In the days that followed, Debani's family and friends frantically searched for any sign of her whereabouts. But as the hours turned into days, their hopes dwindled, replaced by a gnawing sense of dread. And then, 13 agonizing days later, their worst fears were realized. Debani's body was discovered submerged in a cistern on the grounds of the Nueva Castilla Motel, just meters away from where she was last seen alive. The autopsy report revealed a terrifying discovery. She died from asphyxia by obstruction of respiratory orifices. But what caused this obstruction remains a mystery, leaving her loved ones grappling with unanswered questions and a profound sense of loss. For Debani's family, the pain of her loss is immeasurable. Their vibrant, spirited daughter was taken from them far too soon, leaving behind a void that can never be filled. As they grieve her untimely passing, they are left to wonder what might have been, haunted by the unanswered questions that linger in the wake of her disappearance. But Debani's story is not just one of tragedy. It is also a call to action. Her death has ignited a firestorm of outrage, shining a spotlight on the pervasive issue of violence against women in Mexico. As her family seeks justice and closure, they are joined by countless others who refuse to let her death be in vain. In this lively photo, we see a father proudly posing for a photograph with his two beloved daughters, 2-year-old Amelie and 3-year-old Madeline, by the pool as they spend their vacation on a resort in Portugal. This photo, which was only meant to document memories of their Portuguese getaway, will soon turn out to be a haunting memory of Madeline's last moments. It was May 3, 2007, in the coastal town of Praia da Luz, Portugal, where the McCann family's vacation took a dark turn. Kate and Jerry McCann, both physicians from Leicester, England, were looking forward to a relaxing getaway with their 3 young children, Madeline, age 3, and twins Sean and Amelie, age 2. They had chosen the Ocean Club Resort for its family-friendly amenities and beautiful surroundings. The McCanns, along with a group of friends, had been enjoying a leisurely dinner at a nearby tapas bar, just a stone's throw away from their holiday apartment. They took turns checking on the children who were sleeping soundly in the apartment's ground-floor bedroom. The routine had become a familiar one, providing the parents with peace of mind as they dined and conversed late into the evening. As the night wore on, Kate McCann volunteered to make the next check on the children, eager to ensure their safety. However, as she entered the apartment and approached the bedroom, she was met with a sight that would haunt her forever. Madeline, her eldest daughter, was nowhere to be found. Panic seized Kate as she frantically searched the apartment, calling out Madeline's name in desperation, but there was no sign of her. The McCanns and their friends immediately alerted the resort staff, initiating a frantic search for Madeline. The hours passed agonizingly slowly as they combed the surrounding area, calling out her name and desperately hoping for any sign of her return. But as dawn broke over the horizon, Madeline remained missing, her whereabouts unknown. The news of Madeline's disappearance spread rapidly, shocking the tight-knit community of Praia da Luz and capturing the attention of the world. The McCanns' pain was palpable as they pleaded for information and help in locating their beloved daughter. Offers of support poured in from far and wide, as volunteers joined law enforcement agencies in the search effort. In the days that followed, Portuguese authorities launched a comprehensive investigation into Madeline's disappearance, focusing on potential leads and conducting interviews with witnesses. The media frenzy surrounding the case reached fever pitch, with reporters from around the globe descending upon Praia da Luz to cover the unfolding tragedy. Despite the exhaustive efforts of law enforcement and the outpouring of support from the public, Madeline's whereabouts remained a mystery. As the days turned into months, the McCanns struggled with the agonizing uncertainty of not knowing what had happened to their daughter. In September 2007, Portuguese police dropped a bombshell, announcing that Kate and Jerry McCann were officially considered suspects in Madeline's disappearance. The revelation sent shockwaves through the community, causing doubt over the distraught parents and igniting a firestorm of controversy in the media. Forensic tests conducted on evidence collected from the McCanns' rental car raised further suspicions, with traces of Madeline's blood reportedly found in the vehicle. The accusations against the McCanns stunned the world and devastated the family, who continuously denied any involvement in Madeline's disappearance. Amid mounting pressure and scrutiny, the McCanns continued to fight for their innocence, maintaining that they were victims of a miscarriage of justice. Their resolve and determination to find Madeline propelled them forward, even as they faced relentless scrutiny from the media and the public. In 2008, Portuguese authorities officially cleared the McCanns of any involvement in Madeline's disappearance, citing a lack of evidence to support the allegations against them. However, the cloud of suspicion continued to hang over the family, overshadowing their ongoing efforts to find their missing daughter. Over the years, various theories and speculations emerged surrounding Madeline's disappearance, ranging from abduction by human traffickers to accidental death and concealment of her body. Sightings of a girl resembling Madeline were reported in numerous countries, fueling hope that she might still be alive. During Madeline's supposedly 14th birthday in 2017, Jerry said that they still buy birthday presents and Christmas gifts for their missing daughter. Even after all the years, they still held out hope that their daughter would still be found alive. In 2020, German authorities identified Christian Bruckner, a convicted sex offender, as a suspect in Madeline's case. However, despite mounting circumstantial evidence linking him to the crime, prosecutors lacked the concrete proof needed to charge him in connection with Madeline's disappearance. In 2024, Christian Bruckner was deemed the prime suspect in Madeline's disappearance. He's currently on trial in Germany and charged with sex crimes unrelated to the case, which were committed in the same area in Portugal where Madeline was reported missing. The revelation brought renewed attention to the case, reigniting hope that justice might finally be served for Madeline and her family. Madeline's fate remains a mystery, leaving her family and the world longing for answers. As the search for Madeline continues, her parents remain steadfast in their determination to uncover the truth and bring her home. In the left photo, two women were seen smiling and filled with enthusiasm as they went on a hike in Panama together. And on the right was the haunting last photo of what seemed to be one of their belongings scattered around the area. But who photographed the photo, and what had ultimately happened to them? It was April 1st, 2014, when Chris Kremers and Lisanne Froon set out from their host family's home in Panama, ready for a hike with the family dog through the lush forest surrounding the Baru volcano. Chris, 21, and Lisanne, 22, were students from the Netherlands, full of energy and adventure, exploring the world during their backpacking trip through Central America. Little did they know this hike would be their last. The morning was crisp as they went on their journey. Chris and Lisanne were excited, chatting and laughing as they ventured into the wilderness, their backpacks stocked with essentials for the day ahead. They were last seen by their host family, waving goodbye with smiles on their faces, ready for a day of exploration. As the day wore on, the host family grew concerned when their dog returned home alone, without Chris and Lisanne. Sensing something was amiss, they decided to wait until the next morning to alert the authorities, hoping the girls had simply lost track of time or gotten caught up in the beauty of the forest. But as dawn broke on April 2nd and Chris and Lisanne failed to return home, panic set in. The host family contacted the authorities, sparking a frantic search for the missing women. Rescue teams combed through the dense jungle, calling out their names and scanning the trees for any sign of movement. Weeks passed and still, there was no trace of Chris or Lisanne. Their families back in the Netherlands were beside themselves with worry, clinging to hope that their daughters would be found safe and sound. But as time passed, that hope began to fade. Then, just when it seemed all hope was lost, there was a breakthrough. A local woman stumbled upon a blue backpack in a rice paddy along the banks of a river deep in the jungle. It was Chris and Lisanne's backpack, containing clues that would only deepen the mystery of their disappearance. Inside the backpack were 2 pairs of sunglasses, a small amount of cash, Lisanne's passport, and other personal belongings. But most importantly, there was Lisanne's camera and both of their cell phones. The discovery shocked the community, raising more questions than answers. Police immediately began examining the contents of the backpack, hoping to find some clue as to what had happened to Chris and Lisanne. What they discovered was chilling. The call logs on the cell phones revealed a desperate attempt to reach out for help. Over the course of 4 days, 77 separate attempts were made to call the police, but due to the dense jungle, only one call managed to connect, and it lasted for just 2 seconds before being cut off. It was a heartbreaking reminder of the isolation Chris and Lisanne must have felt in their final days. But perhaps the most disturbing discovery was made on Lisanne's camera. Among the photos taken during their hike, there was a series of images captured in the dead of night, between 1 a.m. and 4 a.m. on April 8th. The photos showed their belongings scattered on rocks, plastic bags and candy wrappers scattered around, and most shockingly, the back of Chris Kremers' head with blood near the temple. The images sent a shiver down the spines of investigators, who struggled to make sense of the grim scene. What had happened to Chris and Lisanne in those dark hours? And who had taken the photos? As the investigation continued, more clues emerged. Chris's clothing was found neatly folded along the edge of a river, suggesting that the women may have tried to cross the water in the darkness of the night. And 2 months later, a pelvic bone and a foot still inside a boot were discovered in the same area. The discovery of the bones only deepened the mystery surrounding Chris and Lisanne's disappearance. Lisanne's bones appeared to have decomposed naturally, but Chris's were stark white, as if they had been bleached by the sun. It was a baffling detail that left investigators scratching their heads. Despite their best efforts, the authorities were unable to determine what had happened to Chris Kremers and Lisanne Froon on that fateful day in April. The case remains unsolved, a haunting reminder of the dangers that were hidden in the depths of the jungle. For now, the mystery of Chris and Lisanne's disappearance remains just that, a mystery. And until the truth is uncovered, their families will continue to wonder what really happened to their beloved daughters on that day in April. This hiker, Ian O'Brien, was all smiles in these photos before going on a hike. Little did his family and friends know that this would be the last time they would see him smile and alive. It was June 24, 2023, when Ian O'Brien went on what seemed like an ordinary trek through Colorado's San Juan Mountains. The 28-year-old set out with one goal in mind: to reach the top of Hesperus Mountain. Equipped with his phone and a Garmin watch with GPS enabled, he began his ascent. Ian, a former field guide for open sky wilderness therapy and an experienced outdoorsman, was intimately familiar with the wilderness surrounding Hesperus Mountain. As he trekked for more than 4 hours, his mind wandered to his partner Beth, waiting for him back at camp. Finally, Ian reached the peak at 6:30 p.m. and snapped the photo. He sent it to Beth, a glimmer of pride evident in his eyes. But little did he know this would be the last communication his loved ones would receive from him. As the evening descended, worry began to creep into Beth's heart. Hours passed with no sign of Ian. Concern turned to panic as night fell, and Ian failed to return to camp. By 11:30 p.m., his family launched a search and rescue mission, filing a missing persons report with the Cortez Police Department. The search began in earnest, with volunteers scouring the rugged terrain for any sign of Ian. Montezuma County Sheriff Steve Nolan led the search efforts, deploying helicopters and ground teams to comb through the wilderness. But as the days passed, hope began to wane. Ian's family and friends refused to give up, clinging to the belief that he was still out there, fighting to survive. They shared his story on social media, rallying support from across the country. Despite their best efforts, the search yielded no clues as to Ian's whereabouts. Days turned into weeks, and still, there was no sign of him. As the official search was suspended on June 28th, the unofficial search continued, fueled by the determination of Ian's loved ones. Volunteers from near and far joined the effort, traversing the unforgiving terrain in search of their friend. But it wasn't until September 2nd that a breakthrough finally came. 2 fishermen stumbled upon Ian's body in a remote area of Echo Basin, northeast of Mancos. Montezuma County Coroner George Devers confirmed that it was indeed Ian and determined that the cause of death was accidental drowning. The news shocked everyone as they struggled to come to terms with the loss of their friend. While there was relief in finally finding Ian, the pain of his passing was palpable. Ian's family and friends gathered to mourn his loss, sharing stories of his adventurous spirit and infectious laughter. They remembered him as a kind and compassionate soul, always willing to lend a helping hand to those in need.